I welcome you all to this wonderful evening. Tonight we are gathered here to be a part of something very special, something which has never happened before, and something where we will be at ease, peace, and within the grace of God. We are blessed to be here tonight to be a part of the release of the book, Message from God. When we hear the term God, we immediately relate it with religion and spirituality, but this book is beyond that. This book reveals the highest levels of deception that has happened in this universe, and now humans are used for the ultimate gain of cosmic beings. This book reveals why and how human suffering is created and why till date human beings couldn't come out of their pain and suffering. We are gathered here because this book gives a solution to that, and we are extremely humbled to be a part of the release of such a fascinating book. We are honored and under grace this evening to have amidst us the author himself, our beloved Mr. Pradip Mukherji sir. We are also honored with the gracious presence of Falguni Pathak ma'am, who is working with Pradip sir in this work with God. Also with us, we have Mr. Prasanta Rajguru sir, Editor-in-Chief, Prag News, and Mrs. Mitra Phooken ma'am, noted novelist, translator, and columnist. Also we have with us NM sir and Rupande ma'am, who have been associated with Pradip sir in this wonderful work with God. Finally, we have with us our friends from the print media, television reporting, people from the various web portals who work tirelessly in stretching the limits to deliver news on time. I'm truly honored and blessed to welcome you all. Now, I would like to call up on stage Mr. Prasanta Rajguru sir and Mrs. Mitra Phooken ma'am, and I would like to request Bhairavi ba and Kannaki ma'am to assist them to the dais. And now it is my honor and privilege to invite our beloved Sir Pradip Mukherji sir and Falguni ma'am onto the dais, and I request Ms. Bhairavi Hazarikaba and Ms. Kannaki Talukdar ma'am to accompany them to the stage. We would like to offer our sincere and deep gratitude to all our distinguished guests on the dais. May I now please call up upon Nilima Kolita ma'am to formally felicitate Mr. Prasanta Rajguru sir. May I now please call up upon Ajanta Chetia ma'am to formally felicitate Mrs. Mitra Phooken ma'am. I would like to call up upon Kanuki Talukdar ma'am to formally felicitate Falguni Pathak ma'am. I would like to finally call up upon stage Chinmoy Sharma da to formally felicitate Mr. Pradip Mukherji sir. I request Siddharth Hazarika da to felicitate NM sir. I would like to ask I would like to ask Bhorubi Hazarika Ba to formally felicitate Rupande ma'am. We thank you all for this wonderful opportunity. Now we have a short video of the book. I would request the video to be played. We thank you all for this wonderful opportunity. Now we have a short video of the book. I would request the video to be played. And now the moment has come for which we all have been waiting for, the release of the book, Message from God. I request all the esteemed guests on the dais to please do the honors in unveiling the book. Can we have the books, please? It's a historic moment for us all and the entire human race that for the first time in this world, a book is being released in Anuradha Cineplex, that is Decoding God. A book that reveals the hypnosis of materialism, religion, and spirituality. A book that promises to free us from our daily sufferings. From my own experience and the experience of thousands of people, I can say that the book not only promises, but it does fulfill those promises. Now we are keen to hear from our honorable guests, but first please let me introduce Mr. Prasanta Rajguru sir. Prasanta Rajguru sir, born on the 1st of July 1964, is one of the prominent pillars of television and print media. His 34 years of active journalism in the conflict areas of Northeast India is noteworthy. From 1987 to 1994, he served in the capacity of principal correspondent in Dainik Janambhumi. From 1995 to 1997, he served in the capacity of chief reporter in Ahomia Protidin. From 1997 to 2005, he served in the capacity of chief reporter in Dainik Ahom. He joined Amar Ahom as executive editor and was elevated to the post of editor of Amar Ahom. Later in the year 2020, he joined Prag News as editor-in-chief. He is also the recipient of Rotary International Peace Fellowship in 2015, and his prominent conflicts covered were Boro-Assamese conflict of 1987, Nepali Khasi conflict of 1988, Kuki-Dimasa conflict of 2005, and so on. He has received Jaja Keone International Journalism Award for Social Journalism instituted by CASCCI Foundation, Switzerland in 2015. He was also awarded DE Lit Honorary by University of Science and Technology Meghalaya in 2022, and many more. He has more than 500 articles written in different papers and journals. Now, I request sir to say a few words.
Namaskar. A very good evening to you all. Respected Mr. Pradip Mukherji, this evening's star attraction, to whom you are going to listen very soon. Srimati Mitra Phooken and Srimati Falguni Pathak, and ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to offer my deep gratitude to Chinmay and Bobita for inviting me to share a few words with you in this great occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, I must confess that in my wildest dream also, I never have thought that I will be invited and I will join in a spiritual discourse like this. Because you all know, I am a scribe, I am a journalist. I hardly get time to think of universe and God. And that is none of my business. Maybe after some years, I may go for that. But right now, it is out of my syllabus, out of my job. This is for the first time. I have come to a meeting 20 minutes ahead of time. In all meetings, I'm always 5 to 20 minutes late. It is because Sinmoy has asked me to come before 5:30, at least half an hour before 5:30. And that was, his intent was quite good because I had an opportunity to interact with Mr. Pradip Mukherji. Secondly, often this question comes to my mind, no doubt, that who is the maker of this universe? Who has made this art? Who has made this planet? And who is controlling our surroundings, this universe? Then I don't have any answer because I have very limited study. So I got a very interesting answer to my question in the autobiography of famous folklorist, Dr. Prafulla Datta Goswami. His autography was of a different from Mitra Phooken, by the way, must have gone through it. And in a paragraph, he wrote, the same question came to his mind also. He said that often this question comes to my mind, that who is the maker of this universe? And later on, I thought that this universe, these millions of galaxies forms part of this universe. And we get to see only one galaxy. In Assamese, we call it Hatipoti. And this Hatipoti is the combination or thousands and millions of solar system forms this Hatipoti, one galaxy only, and we have millions of galaxies. This solar system is the part of the Hatipoti, and our planet is a part of this solar system. And in our planet, on this earth, in this country, in this state, sitting at the Jalukbari University campus, Prafulla Datta Goswami said that what is the use of this? I cannot find out. If I start this quest, for whole life I keep on searching, I cannot find any answer. So better to teach my students and make them a good human being. So I got a good reply. But still, while coming to this book inauguration session and interaction with Mr. Pradip Mukherji, I had an opportunity to go through this book, not in between the lines because I didn't get much time, but casually I have gone through, and it's quite interesting reading. The God, to my perception, I am not a very well-read person. To my perception is a third entity. I am the first person, and rest, all living beings around me are the second, and God is the third entity. But what is the necessity of this third entity? Do we need one God? Or without God we can survive? Because this third entity is necessary in every situation. Because this universe is, the fundamentals of these all forms are dialectical, positive and negative, male and female. You have seen this light, and light comes from electricity, and flow of electron is the electricity only. Power is flow of electron. Electron goes from this in the nucleus, the electron goes to proton. So that is electricity. It is invisible. The flow of electron is invisible, but it is tangible. You can touch it. You can get the shock or jerk. But as far as the idea of God is concerned, it is neither tangible nor visible. In in the flow of electron, you need a third entity, that is neutral line. And without that neutral line, you cannot continue this flow. So, God is neither visible nor tangible. Then, why do we need and why do we think of that? The entire philosophical world is divided into this thing. That is the tangibility. Whether invisible can exist if it is tangible. But whether intangible can also exist, that is the dilemma of the entire philosophical world, and there is no answer to that till date. Because Buddhism has a different one school, that is one school. Hinduism is a different school. And other faith and other philosophies, they believe it in a different way. So, Pradip Mukherji, Mr. Pradip Mukherji, he has a fantastic idea I would like to quote from his book, just small paragraph, I won't take much of your time. I had come because my children left me. Mr. Pradip Mukherji said of himself, I had to come because my children left me, came to this universe and then got stuck. They wanted to play the game of creation. Now they all want to go back home. I would like to repeat. Now they all want to go back home. But the king of this universe is not allowing them to go back. That is why I had to come. That's very fantastic, very interesting. It seems, at the very first glance, that Mr. Pradip Mukherji is conspiring against us to kill us all and to take us to heaven. But if you go through this book, you will find that he is going to create a heaven for us on this earth. And I wish him and his followers all success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful speech. Now I would like to introduce Mitra Phooken ma'am. Mitra Phooken ma'am is a writer, translator, and a columnist. Her published literary works, including 4 children's books, 2 biographies, 3 novels, are noteworthy. Actually, I wanted to be candid, but Mitra Phooken ma'am insists on speaking by herself, so I would like to request ma'am to come up on the podium. Please, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Good evening. It's wonderful to be here, and thank you, Chinmoy and Bobita, for inviting me. I have never been invited to, of course, book releases are part of what I do, but I have never been part of a book release of this kind. And may I say, first of all, that I have never seen a book of this kind before. We all go through religious discourses. We all have different books on religion. At this point in our lives, we try to make sense of who we are. We try to make sense of why we are here. Why is it that these things are happening in our lives, the good, the bad, the ugly? Why is it that we have? So we do read, all of us, especially after a certain point in our lives. But I have never come across a book like this. And when I met Sir, I realized I have never met a person like him before. So this has been a very enriching experience. I mean, just this 1 hour of interaction. And I would, after my brief few sentences, I would actually like to interact with him in front of you so that we get more of a sense of what brought this book on and why this. Because, you know, when I was reading the book, the sense of curiosity that why, and it's such a radical book. Why these radical ideas? Where did these radical ideas come from? And the way he is placing it, that God for us, as the speaker before me, Prasanta Rajguru, said, is a third entity. But here it is almost the first person entity in this book, which is something really amazing. And I think it takes a great deal of confidence, self-confidence, to write a book like this, self-belief. And also, while going through the book, I realized that it is an amalgamation of ideas and of, it turns certain ideas that we have had inculcated, religious ideas, on its head. And yet it takes us forward in a very seamless way. So by speaking to him, I would like to, you know, put forward some of these before you. And the other thing I really noticed was that these ideas are so radical, they are so complex, they are so, I mean, you have to blink. I blinked, I put down the book, and then I thought a bit, and then I began. But the the paradox is that the whole thing is written in very, very simple and accessible language. It is completely accessible. There is no complexity of language, so that we can understand and yet we cannot understand. So that is something that has been accomplished as a writer. I think that is a really great thing that he has accomplished. So I don't know if I should congratulate him, because I mean, it's obviously part of who he is. It's a very laudable thing that he has done. So there's a mic there, right? Yeah. Could we? Yeah. Okay. Good evening, sir, again.
Good evening.
Yes, it's wonderful to be here and to be talking to you. It's an experience I never thought I would have, like, so many others. So just to go into it a little bit, the book is, and I'm sure everybody here will ultimately read the book, but could you tell us a little bit about your background? Because that will help us to understand where you're coming from or what is happening.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank all of you who have come this evening. I would like to thank all the distinguished guests who are here. I would like to thank all the people of Guwahati, the people who did my workshop and are now assisting. And I would like to thank Chinmoy for giving this space and allowing this event to happen. Because without all of these people, I wouldn't be able to speak to you all. The next thing is, people really struggle to understand me. People really struggle to understand what I write. People really struggle to get a sense of what truly my work is. Because most of it is outside the vocabulary of the human. Not in terms of the English language vocabulary, but in terms of the experience that humans have in their day-to-day living, or even in their spiritual journey or religious journey. This is one reason that sometimes, okay, I'll not go in that direction. You wanted to know about a little bit about my background as to what brought me to this
point. Yes.
To this point. So, being born as a human who was never initiated either into religion or into spirituality by my parents, I was baggage-free to that extent. I did not have any doctrine. They gave me utmost freedom to do whatever I wanted to do, and never really cared about what most parents care about is how much marks you get, what you want to become, where you want to go, where you want to reach. We never had all these conversations. So my existence was a day-to-day living and having fun in that. The only criteria is pass the exam, probably because my father didn't want to pay for that class again. Having come up in that place, you can understand that my mediocrity is the only philosophy I have. In fact, I was below average in most of the things in life. But I had something very unique throughout throughout the time I can remember, as far as my memory goes back. And that uniqueness was I never was confused in life. I had utmost clarity. And I knew exactly why things are the way they are. I don't know how I knew it, but I knew it. And so life brought me into a profession which was about engineering and technology. I adapted to that profession. I made money in that profession. I was prosperous in my own way. I was very good in it. And then one day, a thought came into my mind, a very idle thought, that what is the meaning and purpose of life? If we are here, if humans are here, what truly is the meaning? Is it really about being born, getting educated, making money, getting married, having children, raising them and dying? That is one purpose. The other purpose, they said, is you have to become enlightened. And I saw that really people were not becoming enlightened. They were assuming they became enlightened. Of course, there were certain exceptions which were truly authentic. But most of the other ones I found, no, they were inauthentic. So even that was not there. So it was a fundamental question. What is the meaning and purpose of life? And unfortunately with me is when I have a question, I go so deep that I lose track of time. I lose track of what I'm doing. So my business getting sidelined, and now I am into a quest. What is this meaning and purpose of life? Did I get an answer? No. Something happened. What happened was a very unusual experience. I was passing by a mosque, and there was the azan that was happening. And this azan hit me hard. And it took me into a transcendental state. I was on a scooter coming back to my home after my work. I still had around 12 kilometers to move or travel through the thick of traffic. But I lost whole consciousness of the traffic. I lost whole consciousness of time. And the awareness came back only when I was parking my scooter. And I'm like, how did I come all this way? How did I navigate through that traffic? But something was there that kept me safe and brought me back to my building. Now this was one transcendental experience. And I thought the experience is meaningless. I mean, it didn't mean anything unless I want to feel that I am so special. And that's one thing I generally never think about, being special. Because the whole mantra of my life is being very ordinary and very simple to the extent that I can. But I started noticing that after that incident, my understanding of life became very profound and deep. And how did that depth show up in my life? The way it showed up was there came a realization of the five levels of responsibility. And this was very profound the way it came. And I'm sharing with you those 5 levels. The first level of responsibility is you are responsible. Now this person is normally the humans in this world. They're always pointing to the others for their own misery, for their own pain, for their own suffering. And they're always saying to their parents, because of you I am like this. They're saying to their spouse, they're saying to their siblings, they're saying to their boss. They assume the others are making their life miserable. So these people are living in that state of you are responsible for what I am going through. But then comes a certain amount of realization. And in that realization, the human starts realizing, no, probably I am also contributing to that. And now this is the second level which says, we are responsible. Not only you, but I am also responsible for creating my own misery, my own pain. And then again, you move to the next stage. The next stage is something very interesting, which says, no, you are not responsible. I am the only one who is responsible. You delivered what you delivered, but I created my misery. You said what you said, but I created my misery. You did what you did, but I created my misery. Life took what it took away from me, but I created my misery. Now I am not blaming anyone. I am the only one who is responsible for the way I am experiencing life. That was the third level of understanding and realization that hit me. And then next, I realized what the next level would be, that nobody is responsible. And this is a place where I realized that even I am not responsible for anything, because I realized that my thoughts I am not thinking, they come from somewhere. I realized that my feelings I am not creating, they are coming from somewhere. I am taking the ownership of them, but I am not creating them. I am assuming they are mine, but they come and go. Which means that even I am not creating my misery, I am not creating my suffering. It is just happening as a part of life, as a flow of life. And there is no one who is taking the responsibility for what is happening, what is showing up in the way I am experiencing myself and the world. So this was the fourth level, that no one is responsible. And then came the final realization that actually this whole conversation of who is responsible is meaningless. Why? Because the fifth realization was nothing ever happened. It is all a dream. And if it is a dream, when you have a dream in the night, do you wake up from your dream and then start figuring out who was responsible for whatever happened in that dream? You don't do that. And if you don't do that, when you realize this is all a dream, why there is a need to really have a conversation or a thought process of really trying to figure out who is responsible for this dream? Now these 5 levels of responsibility, where the last one was not really a responsibility, truly shattered everything that I held and also brought me into an utter state of clarity. And because of this, this article got published in a magazine called Life Positive, and then scores of people started writing to me. They wanted solution to their spiritual journey, and I started giving them that solution. I didn't know how I was forwarding their life, but they said that what you are telling us is freeing us. And that whole set of letters got collated and published and became a first book, which was then known as Exploring Consciousness Through Unconsciousness. So I was asked the question, how did I come here? So,
yes, interesting and very long journey, very interesting journey at different levels, very many different levels. So I know that this can go on, this aspect of your life can go on, but I would like to actually go about the book, and the ideas are really radical, very radical, and I think it needs a great deal of courage, would you agree, to be able to pen ideas like this and put it out into the world, because some of it goes against received religion, I don't say spirituality. Some of it goes, completely new thoughts are there. So while you were writing this and while you were putting the thoughts in order, your thoughts in order to get this book, were you conscious of the fact that, it was a very courageous thing you were doing to put across such radical ideas? Because when people write, things that are burning questions, burning thoughts, they have an idea. Did you have that idea?
You have no idea of what courage I had to go through.
I can imagine, only imagine.
No, you cannot.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, I'll share with this audience, because I don't know if ever I will be having such an audience in my life. The courage that I had to go through, even Shiva did not have and even Durga did not have. They came and they took the mantra, but they couldn't do the mantra. Because that against whom this work was going was so ferocious that these two couldn't stand up in front of them. I was the only one standing, a human. Why? Because I had nothing to lose. Because I wanted nothing from life. But both of them wanted something. And because of that, they buckled down to the king. You do not know them. I know them. You worship them. I know them. And I know what is their strength and what is their weakness. You worship them because you feel they have great strength. They have strength. They don't have courage. So that's why I said, you have no idea what it took for me to do this work.
No, I obviously don't have any idea of that, but I could guess that it must have taken a lot of courage. But what also permeates this book, I felt, was the sense of compassion. Compassion because, you know, my children, you're constantly saying these words and so on. The compassion for fellow humans that you have, which I think is the basis of, for me, is the basis of all big religions, all true religions. And the sense of equality that permeates the book. These two things struck me greatly when I was reading it, in spite of the fact that the ideas were radical. So in our interaction, we did not dwell on the aspect that struck me most, which was the compassion that you have, which comes through in the book.
I care for humanity. I care for people.
Yes.
And when this work started 8 years ago, when God came to me, I never wanted God to come to me. I never really cared for God. Because why do you care for something which is not accessible? And I knew all those people who talk about God, that's all nonsense. They don't know. That much I knew. But I also knew that I cannot know till God came to me. And when God said to me that you have work to do, I said, what is the work? He said, the work is about taking my children back home. His children were the souls. I said, listen, I don't know your children. I don't know my soul. I don't care for the souls. I am a human. I care for other humans. So if you want me to work with you, you have to give me something which I can give to the humans. And so we made a deal. I worked for whatever he wanted me to work. And I also delivered to the humans who came at that point of time to work with me. Because at that time, the journey was only about having 300 people with me who would be committed to this work. 300 people which took 5 years for me to really have. But I gave them, which will really give them some relief from their pain and suffering. That work now is complete. Now I can come into the world out. And so God has given a very beautiful tool, which is this book.
Yes. We can keep on listening to you. But one of the aspects that struck me greatly about the book were the glances, if I can put it that way, at other religions. Like, Kal, coming away from the favor, which you say, which for me is part of Christianity. Then, of course, the concept of karma, which you have elaborated so beautifully. You know, I sometimes feel that we are strangled by the wrong concepts we have of karma in our. So, if with your permission, I will end my interaction with you with a reading from the
Okay.
Karma, which
Yes.
chapter, I mean, which part really, you know, it got to me. So, it's just a couple of pages. All control, domination, and manipulation create karma. All victimhood creates karma. All blame game and not willing to forgive creates karma. From this karmic baggage, using a portion of it, a storyline is scripted. This storyline idea is explained at length earlier, so going through the book you will get it. Then I will skip a paragraph. And killing animals for food or profit does not create karma. It neither has merit nor sin. Doing violence on humans as a part of duty, self-defense, and from a place of neutrality does not create karma. For karma to happen, there has to be some negativity. If I make a choice and somebody gets hurt or pain because of that, but I did not harm that person, nor made that choice with the intention of harming that person, then that action does not create any karma. Karma can be neutralized by practicing austerity, penance, and voluntary suffering. You will only be able to do that if storyline allows. Karma cannot be neutralized by giving donations. This really spoke to me, this part. Karma cannot be neutralized by giving donations, visiting holy places, worshipping, chanting mantras, or practicing spiritual methods. Gurus and deities cannot neutralize karma. And so this, you know, there's something that struck me, this couplet, Tirath kaun kare, man mein hi Ganga, man mein hi Yamuna, man mein hi snan kare, man mein hi mudra, man mein hi mala, bhatakat kaun fire. So that for me is an echo. I mean, this was found an echo in that. So thank you. My interaction, many questions remain unanswered. The book will give many, many answers. But in the meantime, back to you.
That was a wonderful symphony of interaction. I was supposed to ask Pradip sir to say more about the book, but sir ne to mera kaam hi kar diya. But still, I would like to request sir to speak about the book.
किताब जो है ये दरअसल एक जरिया है इंसानों को उनके दुख और कष्ट में से थोड़ा सा राहत देने के लिए. इट्स ओके इफ आई स्पीक इन हिंदी. ओके. क्योंकि हमारे पास ये किताब हिंदी में भी है और इंग्लिश में भी है. हर इंसान, वो चाहे सक्सेसफुल हो या चाहे वो फेलियर में हो, वो चाहे बहुत बड़ा बना हो या छोटा बना हो, वो चाहे बहुत पढ़ा लिखा हो या चाहे बहुत अनपढ़ हो, चाहे उसने जिंदगी की ऊंचाइयों को छुआ हो या अभी भी बहुत नीचे गिरा हो, हर इंसान के अंदर एक दुख रहता है और एक कष्ट रहता है. वो इसलिए है क्योंकि इंसान का ये डेस्टिनी है कि उसे दुख और कष्ट में से गुजरना पड़ेगा. और इसलिए परमात्मा का जो संदेश है, जो ये किताब है, ये किताब आपको शायद बौद्धिक तौर पर हजम नहीं होगा. इंटेलेक्चुअली यू मे नॉट बी एबल टू डाइजेस्ट द बुक, लेकिन ज़रूरी भी नहीं है. जब मैंने काम करना शुरू किया था परमात्मा के साथ, मैं बहुत कुछ समझता नहीं था. 5 साल तक मैंने उनको कहा कि मुझे नहीं मालूम कि आप परमात्मा हो या शैतान हो, क्योंकि कोई रास्ता नहीं है मुझे जानने के लिए। लेकिन मैं इंसान के जिंदगी को परखूंगा कि आपके दिए हुए चीजों से उनके जिंदगी में क्या परिवर्तन हो रहा है, और वो मेरा मापदंड होगा ये जानने के लिए कि आप परमात्मा हो या शैतान हो। उसी तरह मैं आपको भी चाहता हूं कि आप भी जो चीज मैं आपको दे रहा हूं वो या तो ये किताब है या फिर ये मंत्र है या फिर किताब के अंदर दिए गए कुछ एक प्रोटोकॉल्स हैं, रिलीजिंग प्रोटोकॉल्स हम बोलते हैं। आप इनको परखिए जैसे मैंने परमात्मा को परखा था। आप उनको टटोलिए जैसे मैंने उनको टटोला था। मैंने उन पर विश्वास नहीं किया था। मेरे अंदर मैं कोई भी चीज पर विश्वास नहीं करता। अविश्वास मेरे अंदर कूट कूट के भरा हुआ है। कोई भी चीज कोई मुझे पेश करता है, मैं इतना ही कहता हूँ इंटरेस्टिंग। इंटरेस्टिंग का मतलब इतना ही होता है, मैंने सुना तुमने जो कहा, मैंने स्वीकार नहीं किया, लेकिन मैंने उसे अस्वीकार भी नहीं किया। इट्स इंटरेस्टिंग। सो मैं भी चाहता हूं कि आप वहीं पे रहे जहां पे आप मेरे दिए किताब को और मेरे हुए दिए गए चीजों को सिर्फ इंटरेस्टिंग के तौर पर लीजिए, उसको अजमाएं। मैंने परमात्मा को अजमाया। लोग परमात्मा की पूजा करते हैं, मैंने परमात्मा को अजमाया। आप उनके दिए हुए चीजों को भी अजमाइए और फिर देखिए अगर आपके जिंदगी में कुछ बदलाव आता है तो आप कंटिन्यू कीजिए। अगर बदलाव नहीं आता है तो इनको छोड़ दीजिए। फर्क क्या पड़ेगा? आप 200 रुपया का एक किताब ही खरीद रहे हैं ना, या तो फिर मेरे दिए गए मंत्र को आप बोल रहे हैं। इतना ही फर्क है। तो मैंने 2 शब्द तो कह दिए किताब के बारे में।